What's up YouTube, Adrian the Barber here. Today's video I have the Andis Styliner tools. I will show you guys how to adjust the power as well as adjust the blade and mess around with the tension. This is like one of the most underrated clippers I believe in the industry, or trimmers, sorry, in the industry. This is one of my favorite. I say I'd go with the T outliners, the detailers, and then these would come in third as my favorite trimmers. If you get a pair of these, you get them running correctly. They're some of the best trimmers you're going to use. And so if you don't have some, go out, check them out. They're worth the buying. They're not that expensive. I think they only run like 50 bucks. And so they're hard to set. That's the one thing about them. A lot of people have trouble setting them because the tension's right there in the blade. And I'll get into that in the video. For the video, all you're gonna need, I got this adjustable screwdriver with a flathead bit. I'll show you that up close. And then just a Phillip bit, as well as this is like a 1/2 millimeter Allen wrench. It's like one of the smallest ones. If you get a set of Allen wrenches, it's just gonna be like the smallest one that comes in the set. And all you need is that to adjust that tension after you mess with the blade. And so let me go ahead and get into this video and show you guys how to adjust the tension, the power, and the blade. So the first thing I'm gonna do with these trimmers is set the power. The power adjustment's right here on the left of the trimmer. And all you have to do is just turn your clipper on, and to get the maximum power, and you guys have probably done this with other clippers, a lot of wall clippers, that Masters got this, a lot of clippers have this, but not very many pairs of trimmers have the power adjustment. So you can turn it to the left. Okay. Here it starts to rattle, and then you're gonna go back to the right just until you hear it get quiet again. And now your trimmer should be set to the maximum power. And that's all it is for the power. You turn these off and put the Phillip adjustment on the screwdriver. And I'm just gonna go in, I'm gonna remove the top blade now. Make sure you don't lose these screws, man. These screws are hard to find. Like you're not gonna find these clipper screws at a hardware store. I've tried. I've been to Ace Hardwares and other hardware stores around town, and I've never successfully found a screw for a pair of clippers. So all you do is you just pop this blade off, as you can see right there. I'm gonna throw these to the side for a minute because I don't need them right now. And this is where it really gets tricky with these trimmers. So you have your tension, which is the flathead, and then you have your two Phillips that holds the blade. And in order to move this bracket, let me see, you can't just pop that off. In order to move this bracket, unlike the T outliners, where you just have to loosen these two screws, and then you can start moving the blade around, you're gonna have to loosen these two screws. I just loosen them just very little, just let me see, dang, just a little, just enough to move that bracket. And then after you loosen those two screws, you take the flathead adjustment, throw that back on there, and I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna loosen up this middle screw, just very little, just barely loosen that up. And now that you can see that bracket moves. So a good rule of thumb, what I like to tell people when it comes to adjusting blades, is if you want to make sure that your blade is going to be straight, if you look down here at this space you have in between, you make sure the bottom of this bracket is straight. So if you see the bracket crooked like that, then that's the way your blade is gonna sit. You see how it comes at that angle? That's the way your blade is gonna sit when you put it on. So if you have a crooked blade, most likely the bracket's crooked. And so you always wanna make sure that's straight up and down. You got even amount of space all the way across on the bottom of that bracket. So now, if you guys seen previous videos I did with adjusting blades, there's multiple ways you can do it. You can get a blade adjuster. I'm not going to use a blade adjuster for this. I'm just gonna eyeball this. That's the way I've been setting my blades now. I've got pretty good at it. And if you don't have a lot of experience adjusting blades, a good thing to do is to use like a mirror, and you can take any sort of flat surface that's hard, a hard flat surface, You can even put them on this table and kind of put it at an angle. Straighten the blade, put it at an angle, and go back and tighten those screws. But like I said, I'm just gonna eyeball it. That's the way I prefer to do it. I have better luck. I usually, when I use the mirror stuff, I always have to go back a second time and readjust them again. And so the thing with these, you want to get them. Let me see. I'm gonna bring this a little closer. Zoom in. And you want those teeth to be just right under that top blade. You don't want it even with it. You want it right under that top blade, just like that, if you guys can tell. And then what I do, I just try to hold it as tight as I possibly can. And so you can see I'm not even with that top blade. I'm right under it. And then what I'll do is I'll go back in, and then I'll just start tightening these screws back. So I get it where I want it, and then I barely loosened it, so I don't have to tighten it much, which helps keep the blade in place. But then again, like I said, you don't want your blade to be crooked, so you got to make sure that that bracket, you see my bracket is a little bit off down there. So I'm gonna loosen that up a little bit more. Let me adjust that. I'm gonna loosen that up a little bit because I don't want my blade to be crooked on there. There we go, got that even. I just go in and tighten it back. There, I got that tightened, so I'm gonna switch my adjustment again, back to my Phillips. And then just go in, tighten these two screws. And like I said, I don't loosen them up. Don't loosen them all the way. You don't want the screws to come out, because then if you're trying to hold the blade like this and you're trying to put the screws back in, then most likely you're gonna lose the placement of your blade. You're gonna be starting back over again. And so I got those back tightened. I got my blade where I want it. Let me see. I'm gonna try to come real close if I can. See how close this camera lets me get it. Yeah, that's the best I'm gonna be able to get to show you guys. But you can see my blade is right underneath that top blade. I got those tightened back. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and take it, put it back on my clipper now. Take my screws. Like I said, make sure you don't lose these screws. Be online trying to order some clipper screws from some company you know nothing about. Put those back on there like that. And then go ahead, I see my blade's nice and straight on there. I got my power set, I got my blade set. And I mean, they actually sound pretty good. My blade, the placement of my blade is actually right on. You see it, they're not too far to one side or the other. I got about an even gap on those. And so really, when it comes to this tension now, it just depends on how they're cutting. So that screw that I used the flathead on, that was the tension. So like I said, these actually sound pretty good. And you'll know, like, when you put that blade back on, if you turn them on and they sound funny, they sound too loud, or like something's clicking in there, then that's when you really want to go and you can take this Allen wrench, and all you do is just put it in there and you adjust the clipper, you know, either to the left or the right until they sound right and they cut right. And so the next thing you would do with these is find a client or use them on yourself. I always prefer, or I always recommend using the clippers or the trimmers on yourself before you use them on a client, because if they are too sharp, you don't want to cut anybody else. You always rather cut yourself than the client. But yeah, that's really all there is to these clippers. Like I said, once you get the blade set, you turn them on. These sound good. They got a ton of power. They're great for balding. They're great for lineups. They're just a great all-around trimmer. Like I said, one of my favorite trimmers. Yeah, so go ahead. If you don't have a pair of these, I recommend getting a pair, trying them out. Like I said, they're inexpensive. You spend like 50 bucks on Amazon and get yourself a pair of these. And I can promise you that if you get them set right, you won't be disappointed. And like I said, once you adjust them and you get to cutting, if you don't feel like they're cutting smoothly or not, the first thing you can always do is just go back, play around with this tension right here. And then if that's not working, then, you know, if your blade's not set right, go back and adjust your blade, adjust your power. But I showed you how to adjust all of these things. And so if you guys got any questions, you know, go ahead and hit me up. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave comments, subscribe to the channel. I always say subscribe to it. I say that stuff like 1,000 times a video. And I appreciate all the subscribers I got, though. I mean, you guys are great. Everybody's back viewing the videos. Happy to be back on YouTube. And I got some haircut tutorials coming this week. Tuesday and Thursday will both be haircut tutorials.